What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wolf's Ramblings. In this part, we're going to discuss game design. Nothing too specific, just broad, whatever's on my mind kind of thing, because I feel like I have some good input on game design. I've never studied game design. I've never, had any experience in terms of creating or actually designing a game, but I've played a lot of games, and I've gotten to the point where I think I understand what's good and what's bad for any specific kind of game, or at least I feel like I have that kind of knowledge. It's not uncommon knowledge. Everyone who plays games as much as I do has that kind of experience. Really, I mean, it's something you can't not have because it's just there. Like, it's the reason it's if you play a game and it's good and you know why it's good, then that's your answer. If you know why it's bad, then there you go. You know game design up to a point, and it's interesting to see some of the choices these days for game design. One of the first big game design thing that it's kind of wrong these days is difficulty in multiple ways, because difficulty is something that in the past the only way really to make your game last was to make it hard, make it frustratingly bullshit hard, because you'd play it long, you wouldn't be able to beat it, and it'd increase the time you'd play it, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing at the time. This is really the only thing at the time that you could do to make a game long because memory was limited. Castlevania is a great example. It's a really fucking hard game. It's really short, but you probably play it a decently long amount of time the first time you played it because it's really fucking hard. And it takes a little bit of experience and practice to get the game. I've never played it myself, but I've seen it played, and I can pretty much vouch for anyone else who's played it. It's a hard game. Similar to old Mega Man games, if a game's hard, it makes the game last longer. Simple as that. And as we've progressed in technology and we've gotten more memory into those little fucking discs that we pop into our game systems, games have gotten longer in terms of just length, story, and things like that. And it's opened up a lot of opportunity that's not being utilized correctly. Some games do. I don't want to say Skyrim because I'm not a huge fan of Skyrim. That might be for another video. Didn't really like Skyrim. But I'll use Oblivion for an example. Oblivion did it right, made the game long and not pointlessly long. Games that do it wrong are pretty much in the AAA title that you can play that has a hallway story. A hallway story being a story that you really can only follow one path. There's no branching, and by branching I mean a legitimate story branching. Not, oh look, you can go do this side quest and collect pots and bring the pots back and go collect 10 zebra pelts from the no, those don't count. Those aren't branching. So we have this problem with difficulty and length, that isn't being done right. And one of the telltale signs where you can really see this is difficulty settings. Something that really kind of didn't exist back then. A game was the game, and you couldn't make it easier, you couldn't make it harder unless you wanted to pop up. I don't know, when did Action Replay or Game Shark, when did those come into play? Game Genie, is that one of them for the older consoles? I don't know. I was not old enough to know. I know I had an Action Replay, I think for Nintendo 64, and one for the GameCube as well, I think. It was a long time ago, I can't really remember. But oh god, I got a tangent. Whoa. But games didn't have difficulty settings, and even if they did, really, you generally only made the game harder. It was a hard mode, which is generally it. And now we've gotten to the point where there's usually the nice number these days. You'd think it'd be 3, but no, the nice number these days is 4. 4 difficulty settings, and you gotta ask yourself, I'm not gonna play the game 4 times. It makes sense. You have the easy mode for people who want to play it casually, and the hard mode for those who want to challenge, and the normal mode for those who want to play the game. It makes sense, but when you go deeper, you realize that no one's doing it right. I think that 3 game modes, easy and normal and hard, is just fine. You can have a lot of people say, oh, if there's an easy mode, I feel less accomplished that other people can beat the game. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. If you think that your accomplishment of beating a game on a harder difficulty is ruined because someone beat it on a lower difficulty, you're a conceited douchebag, and shut the fuck up, play the game. I hate people who say that. I really do, because you just want your achievement. You want to feel more accomplished comparatively, as opposed to just feeling self-accomplished. That's the point of the games. You're not playing, a multiplayer game. You're playing a single-player game. You're not supposed to feel good because you did something that someone else did in an easier mode. No, it's dumb. It's dumb. And I got off on a tangent there, but that really makes me angry. But yeah, if someone wants to play a game and not be too challenged, that's their choice. They should be able to have that choice. If they want to play on a harder difficulty for a challenge, that should be their choice too. And those who want to play the game on normal mode should have their choice. It's all about choice. But even with 4 difficulty modes, they managed to take the choice out of it. Because here's what we have. Here's what the difficulties modes are. They're written down. They generally have different names like insane, extreme, easy, normal, casual. They're all the same. But you generally your easy mode, your normal mode, your hard mode, and then your very hard mode. That's the general formula. Sometimes there's 2 easy, a normal, and a hard, but generally it's an easy, a normal, and then 2 ranges of hard. And all of them suck. All of them are wrong for who they're targeting. Okay. Well, I guess except easy mode. That one works. Easy mode is generally always laughably easy. Like a 3-year-old could play the very easy modes on most games because of how ludicrously, stupidly easy they are. And again, I guess they're targeting those who want an easy experience, and that's fine by you. I don't really care about the easy modes because I won't play them. Easy modes is not fun. I don't think it's fun. But that's an opinion thing, If they want to have their easy modes, let them have it. So that's not necessarily bad, but that's too much. But this is what's affecting it. The normal mode of games is too easy. Not easy, it's too easy. When was the last time you played a game and you felt slightly frustrated? The good kind of frustrated, that you were legitimately being challenged. And I know you'll say Dark Souls, but that's 1 in a million kind of game. I'm not saying 1 in a million isn't good, but it's a game meant for challenge. It's the same as kind of like Castlevania. It's supposed to be hard. So not counting those games. But when was the last time you played a game like Mass Effect or some general game, single-player experience game, and when did you feel challenged? If you can name a game on the Xbox or the Wii or the PS3 or any recent PC non-indie games, you can't really name one. I mean, again, Dark Souls, but not counting the supposed to be difficult games. Not counting those. The normal modes are too easy. They're not laughably easy, but they're way too easy. And it's like, wow, well, what? I don't feel accomplished at all for doing this. Because, it's a hallway game, so the choice isn't there to branch out and do different things. So you want the hallway to at least be filled and good, and you want the hallway to be pretty to look at and fun to go through, not like, you know how many games can be solved by pressing one goddamn button? I mean, I know shooter games are button, but the point is that you could just use one thing over and over, the same thing, and generally you'll probably beat the game. It's like we're not playing arcade games. We're not playing, even those games have multiple buttons. It's just like, Jesus, come on. So that's wrong with the normal mode. That's the biggest issue, really, is the normal modes are always too easy. And so we move on to the 2 hard mode settings. We generally have, and this is the thing, is both the hard mode settings, they're not necessarily too hard. They're hard in the wrong way. Generally, these 2 settings do either one of 2 things. They increase the enemy's damage, or they increase the enemy's health, damage, some kind of number there, or they decrease your health or damage. And those aren't necessarily wrong things to do, but if that's all you do and you didn't plan for it in your game design, then you've screwed up, because now you're making it hard for the wrong reason. You have to take into account what your game is about and how your game plays before you go changing numbers to make a game more difficult. If the game is only about shooting things and all you do is increase the health of the enemies, it's not fun. You generally just die because you didn't have enough ammo, or you just had to sit there and blast a guy for 20 seconds to kill him. That's not hard. That's frustrating and dumb and stupid. Stupid dumb. The stupid. It's stupid. And so you gotta, if you want to make a game hard, you need to make it hard correctly. But unfortunately, in game industry today, that takes thought. It takes time to design your game correctly. So we're skipping that part. We don't need to do that. Just increase their health, increase the damage. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. They'll think it's hard, and they'll play it. And no, the worst, and the worst game that does this, I'm gonna say Call of Duty. But this is generally something people don't complain about at Call of Duty because you rarely hear it. It's generally, oh, the game sucks. Call of Duty. The general thing is Call of Duty sucks. And actually, it's a good game. It's just overdone and bland. Call of Duty is another video. Anyway, the difficulties in Call of Duty are it follows this pattern. There's easy, normal, kinda, or the first hard and the second hard. It's what is it? Is it easy? I don't think that they use easy or normal. They might use normal, but the two hard difficulties are hardened and veteran, and both of them are just dumb. It's checkpoint to checkpoint gameplay. The game is already checkpoint to checkpoint, but you totally emphasize that mechanic, which isn't really a good mechanic, and that shoves it down your throat because all your goal is in the game isn't to beat the level, it's to get to the next checkpoint of the level, and that's not fun. In Call of Duty, if you play veteran mode, you're going to die so many times where it's not your fault, where you couldn't do anything about it, and that's a big game design no-no. You don't want to punish a player for doing nothing wrong. If a player does nothing wrong, they have no reason to be punished for doing nothing wrong. That's a solid game design rule that should never be broken, and is broken probably the most out of any rule. It's the most important rule, and it's broken the most. How that makes sense, I don't know. But a player should never be punished for doing nothing wrong. It shouldn't. But for some reason, game companies feel like to make the game artificially harder, they pointlessly punish. There's a PP for you. Acronym. We love acronyms, right? PP. That's what it is. Pointless punishment. And that's so evident in so many games, but really Call of Duty Veteran Mode is really, the enemies will one-shot you. Sometimes they literally will just one-shot you. No questions asked. Just you're dead. And that's probably the most extreme of examples, but Halo Reach, another checkpoint to checkpoint game, not as bad as Call of Duty, but still a checkpoint to checkpoint game. Was it legendary mode is the veteran, legendary, whatever. Heroic and legendary are the two hard modes, and it's the same problem. Legendary, all they do is increase the enemy health by a shit ton. In Halo 3, the legendary difficulty should have been the normal difficulty. In Halo 3, the legendary difficulty was abso-fucking-lutely perfect for normal mode. It wasn't too hard, it wasn't too easy. You fucked up, your fault. It was fucking perfect for normal mode. If you've played Halo 3 and you've played legendary mode, it's really perfect. I can't stress how good that difficulty was for normal mode. And of course, it was the hard mode at the time, but still, it was good. But the legendary in Halo Reach was just not fun at all. It was checkpoint to checkpoint, and you just had to sit there and a lot of times wait it out and just hope that something else kills the enemy you want to shoot. But the elites, one of the main enemies in the game, took like a sniper rifle in the game generally kills things in one hit if you hit them in the head. Generally, it's kind of rule of that game. But you could snipe an elite in Halo Reach on Legendary like 4 or 5 times in the head, I think is what it took. They have jetpacks and they roll and they do all these things. It's really hard to hit them in the head when you're fighting them. Why do I need to be punished? Why are you punishing me? Why do I have to hit him that many times? In Legendary, this is the thing. In Halo Reach Legendary, there's a lot of good design choices to make the game harder in that mode. The enemies dodge more. They generally are hard to hit. They fight you. They chase you. It's hard. But they added this pointless, let's increase the health by 1,000,000, that ruins it. It just fucking ruins it. It's like, hey, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. it's one design choice that ruined the whole game for that difficulty. It is just, the normal modes for Halo games, or for Halo Reach, I believe, was generally pretty good. It was pretty good, I think. I don't remember. I only played it once, and it wasn't too much of a good experience, or it wasn't noteworthy, the Halo Reach campaign. But from what I remember, it was generally not too easy. It was still a little easy, but it wasn't too easy. I think I did die a couple times, which is good. People aren't perfect. Even the best players, make mistakes, and you punish players for mistakes. General rule. I've said it like 9 times, but it's a rule. It's a rule. You don't fucking break it. Super Meat Boy, an indie game. Oh, it looks like we're referencing an indie game. It must be good, and it is good. Super Meat Boy only punishes you if it's your fault. If you fuck up, you get punished. Not at one point in Super Meat Boy, except maybe the boss of the Hell World, are you punished pointlessly. Not once. It's all your fault if you die. Perfect, flawless game. Let me re-say that. The game is one of the best examples of perfect game design. It is almost flawless how well designed Super Meat Boy is. It's just crazy good. Crazy good. It's a good game. It's good. Seriously. It's difficult. You don't fucking decrease the difficulty in Super Meat Boy. It's the right amount of difficult. Back to the difficulty point, it's hard. It's not too hard. It's not too easy. It's not easy. It's not. Games shouldn't be easy. Some should. Fucking when you play My Little Pony, whatever the fuck, those games. Yeah, those should be easy. They're for kids. And no, I'm not gonna go there. Oh, that's not. Let's not be sex. That's not good. But what else? What other game design is just dumb? Oh, okay. We'll go back to Sky. This will be a good point to discuss Skyrim. Open world games. Such a good game design choice. Open world that has been just utilized so poorly by every game that tries to do it. They say open world, but really it's so poorly done by a large majority of games that it's just. Borderlands 2. I still haven't played through much of Borderlands 2. I just haven't had the time to do it, but from what I've played so far, Borderlands 2 seemed to do it pretty well, up to the point that I got. I haven't really been enough through the open world to really experience all of it, but we'll talk about Skyrim. Skyrim, I was so excited for Skyrim. I was like, midnight release, fucking get that shit day one, play it all. I'm playing it. Fucking, I played it. And I was really disappointed with the game. I may have set my expectations a little too high, but even if I would have lowered them, I still was horribly disappointed with it. It just felt so empty. It felt really empty and not cookie cutter, but everything was the same. I felt like the entire game, everything felt like I was doing the same thing over and over. And you are, but a good game disguises that fact. A good game where you do the same thing over and over takes you away from it and disguises it and uses other things to distract you from the fact that you're doing the same thing over and over again. With good visuals, good story, all those elements are meant to distract you from the fact that you're pressing the button over and over. Is what it comes down to, is that's what you're doing. But a good game distracts you from that. It goes back to the controller fiasco I talked about last part. You don't want a player to know they're playing their video game. In Skyrim, I felt like I was mashing the fucking R button over and over. All I did was get a two-handed weapon. I generally go for the two-handed weapons in Elder Scrolls games because I enjoy the melee combat. And I one-shot everything. And you could say, increase the difficulty, but no, it was normal mode. I was playing on normal mode. I shouldn't have to increase the difficulty to make the game not easy. That's wrong. And it was even if it was difficult, it wouldn't have been fun because all the dungeons, all the caves, and all this in Skyrim, with the exception of one, were the same. Go down this cave and fight Draugr. Go down this cave and fight Draugr. Go down this cave and maybe you go fight like a wizard dude, but just give me more Draugr. Fuck the Draugr. The Draugr in Skyrim were uninspired, fucking lame-ass zombie creatures that were pointless and fucking boring. I'll say it, they were fucking boring enemies, and they were fucking everywhere. They're like the bat scope, or not scope, what's the word? Snope, or whatever the word is for those pointless, boring enemies. And the game was just, I had fun playing the game. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it was so underwhelming. Except for Blackreach. If you played the game and you know what Blackreach was, I was blown the fuck away by Blackreach. That nearly saved the whole game for me, how cool that area was. But in the end, the game just felt lacking. The story was quite short. The main story was very, very short. Too short. It was too short. And then you say, oh, but Skyrim's meant to be side quest. It's an open world. You go around, you have all this stuff to do. But when you get down to it, all the quests of Skyrim were collect quests. All of them. A freaking vast majority of them were go collect stuff. Go here, fight some Draugr, pick up an item, take it back. Now, again, with the game, you don't have a lot of that. That's really what a lot of stuff comes down to in a game. It's a collect thing. But this goes back to the point I made earlier. You're supposed to disguise it and make it fun. And Skyrim didn't do that very well at all. Didn't make it fun. And so a lot of it felt like fetch quests that were empty. A lot of the side quests did that, and so I didn't do a lot of the side quests. The best side quest in all of Elder Scrolls is the Dark Brotherhood. I mean, of course, it's an opinion thing. You might disagree with me, but the Dark Brotherhood is like Assassin's Creed inside of Oblivion and Skyrim. It was Assassin's Creed before Assassin's Creed, and in Oblivion it was so fucking good. In Oblivion, the Dark Brotherhood quest was so well thought out and so good. You assassinated people in such creative ways, and if you did it in the way they wanted to, you got more points, and it was so good. It was so good. and in Skyrim, I'm trying to recall some of the special, like, you're supposed to assassinate people in a special way, but in Skyrim, you really didn't. Like, the one that's coming to my head is that there was like a couple getting married, and you had to assassinate them during their marriage, so it was really effective or whatever. And it was like, okay, all you do is you wait for them to start getting married, and then you kill them. This is really it. Just wait for it, press the button, good, there you go, goodbye. And it's like, okay, that's it, I killed her. A lot of them were just go and kill them. There was no thought. In Oblivion, there was one where you had to go sneak around this dude's house, get into his attic, and set up for his moose head or boar head or whatever to fall on him while he's reading in his chair. Fucking, so that was awesome. It was like, I did it. I fucking did it. It was awesome. And it's good. There was also another one where there was a guy where he wore this really good armor and was really, I don't know if he was invincible or whatever, but he was really powerful, and I think you could just go and kill him if you wanted to. It would be a hard fight and you could kill him, or you could talk to people and figure out that he goes for a swim at a specific time and takes his armor off, and you can kill him there. And if you try, it's more fun. And so in Oblivion is a good example of disguising what you're doing. Skyrim, not. And so back to the whole open world thing is that if a world is open, it has to be filled everywhere. Not literally everywhere, but if you go somewhere, there should be something there to experience, not just a plain lame fetch quest. Oblivion did a good job of that, but Skyrim didn't. And most open world games have that flaw, is that they're open world, but they're really empty, and the side quests are generally fetch quests. And it's just, yeah. A game that I just saw a trailer for today looks like it's taking open world to the fucking moon, and then to the fucking out of the solar system, Andromeda shit's going fucking out into space, cool, everywhere. Starforge Alpha. Or I think it's just called Starforge, and it was the alpha of Starforge. But Starforge, I tweeted the link to the Indiegogo campaign video, and literally, it's a fucking world that is open for you to build and explore. It's like Minecraft on not just crack, but crack, LSD, cocaine, meth, all that stuff. It's fucking insane. I'll put the link in the description. Go watch that, and you can go see how ambitious that title is. I can't wait to see what they do with it, but it already looks incredible, and it's gonna take open world to where it should be, an open fucking world, literally. But yeah, there's a lot of places games can go that they're not going for some reason. All these games that are coming out, all of them are so safe. And safe isn't necessarily bad, but safe is generally lacking. Because you know what works and you do that. You don't want to take the risks of not doing something safe, doing something unsafe and risky, because you don't want to lose your money. And that's why, again, I've probably said this in the last episode, but that's what the indie games have over the AAA titles. Indie games can take risks because if they don't, they're not going to make any money. If they don't do something crazy good and inventive, no one's going to notice their game. You can't just fucking make Tetris over and over again. No one's going to buy that. Okay, I don't care what you do. You got to do something original. And that's why it's such a booming business, the indie game business. Because those with thought win. Those who do the best sell the most for indie games. It's like the rule. And the AAA, it's whoever has the most advertising, most fucking point. You know what I mean. Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, all those games that are already big. As long as we keep doing those, nothing can go wrong. And that's what they're doing. And eventually they'll find out that something is going to go wrong because fucking less and less people want to buy games, not for $60. If I can get a great experience for $5 and a lackluster experience for $60, what are you going to pick? I already used this argument in the last video, but it's coming up again, so I'm going to use it. They're going for the good stuff. So we've talked about difficulty, open world. I had one more that I wanted to talk about that I completely forgot. Just completely left my brain, which generally happens. I'm a dumbass. Game design. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something so good and I fucking can't remember it. It's bullshit. I might pause the video and then come back when I remember because I don't want to sit here and waste your time. But if you're already 28 minutes, 27 and a half minutes into this video, well then I guess you can spend another 10 seconds for me to figure this out. Right? Okay, well, I'm actually gonna pause the video and figure this out because I don't want to waste time. Be right back. Aha! I remembered. I finally remembered. I don't know why I'm doing the weird accent. Okay, length. We're gonna talk about length of a game. The general, common length of hallway games, of single player experience games, is generally 30 hours, and I'm not counting side quests that I already talked about that are lame and pointless and stupid and dumb. Generally, the main single player experience is around 30 hours, and that seems really short. It is short. I mean, it was generally, in terms, we were limited by memory in the past, so that's what it had to be, because we ran out of room on the game disc, but now we're having games that have 2 discs, and we're doing so much better with memory that that limit doesn't really exist as much as it did in the past. And but a lot of memory is going towards graphics and making the game look like we really need to make sure this is a good thing that Matthew Matos said about Wind Waker for Zelda, is that because of the art style choice, they didn't need to pointlessly have people working on making everything look so realistic that the artists were free to do more things with the game, with the art. And it goes the same for the design itself. If you don't focus so hard on one certain thing, then you have more time to do other things, to make the game longer. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't know where this thought comes in that gamers are just going to give up on a game 30 hours in because they get bored of it. If the story is compelling enough and the gameplay is fun enough, why would I spend 10 more hours doing side quests when I can do 10 more hours of the story of the game? What's wrong with that? What if I can play Oblivion for 300 hours, which I did because a large majority of it was compelling and fun. It wasn't, of course, it was side stuff, but it was fulfilling side stuff. Why can't there be a good 50 to even up to 100-hour game that's solely single player experience with full content, with a story and fun gameplay? I mean, it wouldn't be easy. It would be easy to do because you have to think of. It would be like combining two games, basically. I mean, it would be like having two Zelda games in one. Honestly, is what it would be like. But when you think about that, a lot of the time goes into art and style and game design and the engine and all that. The story and the game itself turns out to be kind of a small part when compared to everything else. So why are we focusing so little on that, which is the most important part? It's the most important part of the game. Why are we focusing so little on that? And it's interesting to think about because there hasn't really been a game with that much single player experience. Again, the limit is generally 30 hours. And I know The Binding of Isaac, I mean, I spent over 200 hours playing the same single player experience, but the game is designed in a way to play it over and over, which is not necessarily bad, but doesn't really pertain to what we're talking about. It's a roguelike. It's meant to be played over and over. But a game like Zelda or Mass Effect or games like those, they generally are short, and they need to be long. I want to see a game try to be longer. Again, it's a risk, though, because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying I know for sure that a gamer will play a game that's 60, 70 hours long through sole single-player experience, but I'd like to believe that they wouldn't just give up. When was the last game that was good, mind you, that had good gameplay? It was just a good game that you loved. When was the last time you stopped playing that game and didn't continue? I'm talking about the first time you played through it. What game that was good did you stop playing? You didn't. You didn't, did you? You finished a game that was good because it was good and you wanted to finish it. You didn't get bored as long as the game was good. It's fucking logic at that point. It doesn't really need to be anything else about it. But if the game's bad, you're going to stop playing it, right? That's what it is. So if you have a good game, why can't it go on longer? That's what I'm trying to say. I have a game that I've been, I say quote unquote designing in my head that I'd want to make if I had the money to do it. I wouldn't be the coder or anything, but it's been in my head for a while, and it wouldn't work. I don't think it would work because it would require a lot of money and time and effort, and I don't know if memory itself would be there. I don't know, maybe it would. I mean, with this Starforge game that's coming out, it's proven to me that maybe worlds can be a little larger than we actually believe. But I want to make a game that is the length of basically 3 general AAA title games. That's one game that has a massive open world that basically all the problems that I just listed earlier, it doesn't have those. That's the game I have in my head. And I have a story for it, and I have some design choices, but I'm not nearly there because I want there to be a point in every part of the game. I don't want there to be any pointless quests where you go collect 10 so-and-sos. I want there to be compelling dungeons that are in the style of Zelda, that are puzzles and challenges in them that are with fun and interesting enemies that you fight in an interesting way. The combat is like Skyrim in that there's so many choices, but see, Skyrim fucks up in that manner because there's so many choices in Skyrim, but the best thing to do is sit there and stab someone with a two-handed sword, so why would you choose anything else anyway? Players gravitate to what... So I found a thing to talk about. Combat. Players gravitate towards the easiest combat. You can say that you're like, oh, I want to do this because no, generally, players gravitate towards the easiest and most effective form of combat. So, why not make different forms of combat effective in different situations? It sounds simple, but games don't really do it, In Mass Effect, the best thing to do is shoot someone to death with the same gun, the best gun. Enemies don't have any special gun that you can use against them. It's always whatever gun's the best. Same with Borderlands. I mean, as much as I've played, you want the best gun. That's what changes your experience, is you get the new gun, and you play with the new gun, and you just keep getting better. But why not, if you get a gun, have that gun already be good for certain enemies? If you have a magic attack, why not have that magic attack good for certain enemies? It's interesting, and that's something I want to do with this game that I have in my head. Is that I wanted to have sword combat, range combat, magic combat, all these different things, but not lock you in and make one the best one. If you try to use a sword on a heavily armored enemy, it's not gonna work. You're gonna have to think outside the box a little bit. Maybe try something that pierces his armor or gets rid of his armor, something like that. You know, in Zelda, in Wind Waker, there was the Dark Nuts that you had to fight. You had to remove their armor. You couldn't just slash at them; it didn't work. You had to use a specific parry attack that you learned that removed their armor piece by piece until they finally were revealed and you could kill them. Flawless game design, great game design, because that it didn't reduce the attack. You didn't go around only using this parry attack now. No, you still used your normal attack, but when you fought these enemies specifically, you used that attack because it was effective against the enemy. Why don't we see more of that? I want to make a game that does that for everything, for every enemy. I mean, of course, it's not going to be like every single enemy has a specific attack you have to use, but some attacks will be more effective, and in some situations more effective, in other situations, I mean, yeah, those will be those enemies where you could just do whatever the fuck you want. You just little fucking bunny rabbits, slice them with a sword, light them on fire, drown them in the ocean. I don't give a shit. They're bunnies. I don't care. But you have a certain enemy that has a strong armor and a weak point that maybe you can't reach at a certain point, or you have to do something to get around him. Or these are just random examples, but that would be cool. I think that'd be a cool combat. And it would be streamlined too because it would involve. I don't know how I would streamline it, but. This game, I want to talk so much about this game, but I could talk about this game that I want to make for hours on end. Because I think it's such a good idea, but it's one of those games that I don't think ever would be made because it's really ambitious, and I don't think anyone would give me the millions of dollars required that would probably be needed to do it. But I want a branching path in the game that isn't fucking dumb and it isn't actually a branching path, like in Mass Effect. This is the worst example. It's like, the choices you make affect the end of the game. It's you choose how the game ends. No. You have, basically, when you talk to people, you can either say good things or bad things. You can either be like, oh yeah, or oh fuck you. That's the Mass Effect. It's either yep or fuck you. Those are the two choices you have in all the game. And the funny thing about Mass Effect 3, which I'm sure you've heard about, is that even if you choose one or the other, the ending's the same. But even if the ending was different, all you did was either be mean or be nice. There was no real, branching path. It never once in the whole entire game affected the gameplay itself, nor the story. You either just got mad at people or just fucking didn't. Is it? And I've yet to see a game that the ending dramatically changes or the gameplay dramatically changes with the choice you make in the game. Because generally games follow the hallway pattern. It's just the safest method. Is to make the game the designer's choice and not the player's choice. So if I were to make a game, I would want there to be at least two main ways to beat it. Two completely different, unrelated ways to beat it. How I would go about that, I don't know. I think one way for sure would be something along like the Zelda way, which you'd go into certain temples and dungeons and clear them out and find some kind of item that would generally help you win the final fight of the game or something along those lines, or something like that. Or maybe there's a long quest that you could do for the whole game that would involve going to certain places and exploring the open world. Again, I don't have anything set in that terms, but that's what I want to do. I haven't put that much thought into it yet, but I really like how this whole chat about game design has come into the game that I want to make. That's nice. But it would be something. It would be a combination between Zelda, Oblivion. I don't want to say Skyrim, but Oblivion, and I think it would have mostly its own flair to it. It wouldn't really have. I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but it wouldn't really be anything else besides those two. And my game, it would be my game. I wouldn't want to compare it to other games, but it would also be very large, and there would be a fast travel, but you wouldn't be forced into the fast travel. Like in Skyrim, you never not used the fast travel. Maybe you specifically just enjoyed, walking around, but generally when fast travel was there, you used it. Because there was nothing to like if you walked from point A to point B, nothing would happen. Sure, you maybe got into a random dragon fight, but it was so embarrassingly easy that it didn't matter anyway. So there was also no point to fighting dragons. Yeah, you got some dragon bones, but I'm going back to Skyrim. Sorry, but you got some dragon bones, but you just made the dragon armor, but then you just made the Daedra armor anyway because it was way easier. Because all you had to do was buy Daedra hearts, get some fucking ores that were really easy to find, and the dragon armor became pointless. Fucking sorry, I really don't like Skyrim. But anyway, yeah, I could go on, but this is starting to get long. If you want me to talk about more about this game that I want to make, I could really talk about it for a long time. Let me know. But again, this is a discussion. If you want to post comments, and let me know what you guys think about what I said. And don't pretend like it's just me. If you see a comment that you disagree with or you want to discuss, have a discussion there. Pretend it's a forum. Just talk with anybody. I'll read all the comments and respond as usual. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.